talking about, the binary that Hannah explained earlier. And I myself sit in the middle of that binary as well. I'm a Roman pottery specialist. I work for Archaeology Southeast, which is part of the Institute of Archaeology. So I work in developer-led archaeology for an organisation that sits within an academic organisation. And this session is all about looking at how we collaborate and communicate, crossing or bridging that divide. And I want to talk about, like I said, some organisations that I feel do sit in the middle. And one of those is the Study Group for Roman Pottery. And I think the finds groups, not just the SGRP and the other pottery groups, but all of the specialist interest groups, we kind of get overlooked a lot in these kind of conversations. But our membership is made up of a very broad sector. We have a very broad representation of people who work in archaeology. So this paper was written in collaboration with Jane Evans, who's in the audience as well, SGRP, and also draws on some of the work from another pottery specialist, Fiona Seeley. So let's get going. Oh, except it doesn't move. There we go. Perfect. Okay. So the Study Group for Roman Pottery, we have academic backgrounds. We were founded in 1971. So we're the oldest of the three pottery groups. And basically the SGRP came into existence at the first meeting came about at the request of the Iron Age and Roman Research Committee for the Council for British Archaeology, and that was in 1971. We had our first conference in 72. And the character of the group has changed, as you would expect, a lot over the last 50 years. By the mid-1980s, we had a constitution, and this is taken from that constitution. We elected our first president, Vivian Swan, I know president, academic backgrounds, like I said. And since 2019, we've been a registered charity. And I'm going to use actually I can look there, can't I? I'm going to use Article 3 from our Constitution to just give some examples of the way we always have, and we do lots of collaboration and how we communicate in the sector. So there we go. Who are we? Our membership. This was from a survey in 2021. You can see, although we had everybody in 1971 was obviously academic, you can see that the yellow lines there, I've highlighted about 50% of our membership now work as specialists, but we've got quite wide representation. The dark blue is those who say that their primary role is academic. And we've got managers, post-excavation, people working in post-excavation, quite a mix of people. I'm going to put this one in because, well, those of you in the audience won't be surprised I've put this one in if you know me. I'm just going to flag that, like most of the finds groups, we do have a higher number of women to men in our group. It's pretty much the same across all find specialist interest groups. And what's particularly stark here is the number of women working as specialists. And coming back to, I can't remember, I think it's Rosie, I think you mentioned about you're never going to earn a lot of money. I'm just going to also make the point that the three most female-dominated sections in specialists in archaeology are also the three areas that are dominated by women, which are finds work, illustration, and conservation, and archives. And all of that information is in the profiling, specialist survey that Landwood did quite a while ago now. But what do we do as specialists? It's the study group, it's the specialists. We set the standards for recording and reporting on Roman pottery. We've been doing this since the 1980s. You can see here the guidelines, research frameworks. Maggie Darling wrote about the archiving of Roman pottery in the mid-1990s. And we do produce a lot of work. And like I said, our members are drawn from a wide range across archaeology. We produce all this. The problem we have is recognition. Our group's getting recognition within the sector. And our research framework, we're still trying to get onto the National Research Framework website. Standardisation of pottery often comes up, but the study group have been working hard to remedy this. The National Roman Fabric Reference Collection, that came into existence in 1998 after being identified by English Heritage, as was in the early 90s, but was first mentioned by, or first raised by Kathleen Kenyon in 1971 at that very first meeting. And we're also, I mean, it's out of print now. I mean, that's a problem we have, and we're trying to help students and new specialists by putting as much of this, the key text as we can, on our website, because we recognise this is a big problem. But and the problem with needing these, well, we need these standardised collections, reference collections, and that's been shown. The Roman Rural Settlement Project, UCL's Alien Cities work, Anna Doherty, when she looked at reviewing archaeological archives. And we're taking it a step further now and actively looking at creating a national form typology to provide a concordance between recording systems that multiple specialists use to facilitate more of this synthetic research. And like I said, it's a lot of our, we have a lot of specialists producing a lot of work. And I think it's been said as well, I can't remember who said it now, that the lack of time that a lot of our specialists feel they want to do more research. And, all of our specialists in the group, I didn't put the slide up, have gone through that traditional route of having an undergraduate degree. We are working on pottery, we're working in developer-led archaeology, but we're still very mindful of the research that can be done with the work that we're producing. And in terms of collaboration, 2012, we collaborated with the Prehistoric Ceramics Research Group and the Medieval and Later Pottery Research Group and presented a paper at a conference honouring David Peacock. And that led to the publication of a paper in the conference proceedings, which you can see here, the Insight from Innovation. And we presented a case for a joint standard for pottery studies in archaeology. Collaboration continued. The standard was published in 2016, which is the black and orange, but I haven't moved on, sorry. There you go. Where's it gone? Showing different slides. Oh, well, anyway. And I think what's interesting about the standard for pottery studies was that I think it got mentioned today in one of the other sessions, that people think about the toolkit for pottery, which has recently come out, a CIFA toolkit, as coming out last year. But actually, that is the 2016 standard for pottery that was produced by the three groups. And that was designed to be used by anybody working on pottery anywhere. And it was, a lot of expertise went into producing that document. And it was, funding, I think it was Historic England funded it or helped with it. But what we couldn't do was get wider uptake across the sector. And it wasn't even endorsed. The original standard wasn't endorsed by CIFA. It wasn't until it was converted into the toolkit format that we have actually now started to get people taking that on board and using it. And it's a brilliant resource if you're teaching students, for new specialists. It's absolutely brilliant. 5 minutes. Okay, so we've also got the Journal of Roman Pottery Studies. It's peer reviewed. That comes out. We try and do lots of training, conferences. We try and make everything affordable and accessible. So our conference in June is £40 for 3 days. We try and use our website. We've got Discord server to try and replicate regional groups for people online to make it easy. There's our conferences there. I'm going to scroll through now. We try and make the most of utilising our existing resources, making them accessible. So you can see here Pottery Kilns of Roman Britain, but we're also, which is available on our website, it's been digitised. But where we also struggle is that we're a specialist interest group. We don't have budgets as such. More work that we've done, collaborative work. Kay Hartley made a huge contribution. I think she's contributed to every Roman archaeology report in Britain over the last 60 years. So we've been working to make sure her archive of stamps is accessible. And this project, I think, really, really shows what we do and how we're able to collaborate and bring lots of different branches of archaeology together. The Manchester Hartsell Roman Kilns Archive another of Kay's projects. So this was inspired by the local community, keen to see the excavation archive made accessible, local heritage celebrated. It was funded by CBA West Midlands, supported meetings between all of the interested parties. So you've got the study group, Historic England, CBA West Midlands, Warwickshire Museum, Warwickshire HER, university people. Results were presented at the SGRP conference at Atherstone. So it was local to the community, they could come along, meet Kay. And that's what these specialist interest groups are really good at doing, bringing all of these people together, providing supportive networks for people. So that work is now, Aniko is doing a PhD looking at the Manchester Hartsel Mortaria, creating new data sets that can be merged with the Roman Rural Settlement Project, for example, which, as we know, lacks quantified pottery data. So basically, as the group, I hope that I've shown that, you know, we exist, we're here, we bring together, like our membership very much crosses the divide that we've been talking about today. We're accessible, we try and make everything affordable, we communicate as much as we can with everybody in as many different ways as we can. It would be nice if we had more recognition from both sides, actually, academic and the developer-led sector. We are very determined to do things. And I love this slide of Kay Hartley. So I think it was last year, the SGRP Kay was awarded a honorary PhD. And I love the fact that she says that she was registered for a PhD in 1959, couldn't get a grant as I wasn't married. But, you know, we are all, as a group, very determined to achieve things and to help new specialists and to provide the support for specialists and students. So use us to help cross the divide, I guess, is my final. I've got a feeling this is a previous version. I'm slightly anxious to go on to the next slide in case it's not the end slide that I think it is. So I'm going to stop here. If you want to know any more, look at our website. Study group for Roman pottery, Finds group, the Roman Finds group. Oh, it is there. There you go. There, that's where you can find us. I did think, oh, actually, yeah, I'm talking about the divide. If I've just got like 30 seconds. I think it's a really interesting one because I personally, I hear what you're saying, actually, about when you leave academia and you go into commercial work and you were talking very much from a field perspective. And I think it's very much the same for finds specialists. You know, we've lost a lot of training on finds work in an academic sector. We've lost the course from Southampton, and it can be quite hard for our specialists to go in and teach on university courses. It very much depends on departments and if they've got funding for external people to come in. And I think it's probably a lot of people when they go into finds work as well, you know, in theory what you're supposed to do, but you've never actually had the experience of working through a pottery assemblage and everything that goes with that in terms of time and budget and the different types of reports that you're expected to write, which is why things like the toolkit is really, really invaluable. And why workplace mentoring for specialists is very much the way to go, I feel. I'm going to stop there. Thank you.
Very much.